Here's a weird detail about campaign logistics. When they are in full campaign mode, presidential candidates scramble from event to event very quickly, sometimes 3 or 4 or 5 in one day. And of course, they don't travel alone. They haul their aides and their entourages along. They also take with them the reporters covering their campaigns. The way it works traditionally is that many campaign reporters are transported around by the candidate because the schedule's so intense and so fluid that can basically make it impossible for news outlets to arrange for their own reporters' travel and logistics independent of the campaign. So the campaigns end up taking a bunch of reporters with them everywhere they go. They sort of take responsibility for their press pool. And that means they even feed the reporters and put them up in hotels. It's like a big carpool. If all the kids in the carpool were trying to catch the driver of the carpool saying something really embarrassing all the time. But even though the campaign takes responsibility for arranging the room and board and travel of the reporters who are covering their candidate, that doesn't mean that the campaign pays for those things for the reporters. That would be weird, right? That would be a strange relationship between the coverers and the coveree. And so to avoid that ethics weirdness, the arrangement that they make is this. News organizations promise in advance that they will pay the costs of their reporters' food and travel once the whole campaign is finished. The campaigns promise to charge reasonable prices for those things. They promise the charges will be tallied up after the campaign, and the news outfits promise to pay. It's not an official rule or anything, but that's the way it works. That is the way it has traditionally worked until this year. BuzzFeed was first to report that this year, a bunch of news outlets are taking the unprecedented step of contesting the charges from the Mitt Romney campaign because they say the charges are crazy expensive, like crazy, crazy expensive. A bunch of major newspapers, including the LA Times, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and the Washington Post, as well as websites like BuzzFeed and Yahoo, have now sent letters to the Romney for President campaign protesting price gouging of the reporters. And from the details that they list, it kind of seems like they have a point. Quoting from the letter, "We've dealt with numerous campaigns over the past decades and understand that we pay a premium to travel with a candidate. But recent invoices from your campaign have raised serious questions about the charges you have forwarded to us for travel with Mitt Romney. Por ejemplo, $745 per person charged for a vice presidential debate viewing party. The price for one meal and a hold on October 18th, $812. A hold is just a space where the press waits after one event before leaving for another event. On the very next day, the price for a meal was $461. On October 30th, the price for food and a hold was $345. Quote, these costs far exceed typical expenses on the campaign trail. Also, it was clear to all present that the campaign's paid staff frequently consumed the food and drinks ostensibly produced for the media. Were any of the costs of these events charged to the campaign itself to cover the care and feeding of its staff? The Romney campaign, the campaign of one of the richest men to ever run for president, charged reporters $812 for a meal. We do not know at this time exactly what that $812 meal consisted of. I hope it was this. For the record, this is a hamburger with a diamond on it. We actually searched various New York City restaurant websites today looking for the most expensive meals we could find, and we could not find an $812 per person meal, so this is our best estimation, the closest we could get. Hamburger with diamond. Until these loose ends get tied up, the Mitt Romney for President campaign cannot become the historical curiosity it is now destined to become. There are still some material consequences of that campaign that have to be sorted out, mostly with American Express. But in today's news, there was another major story that made clear in the starkest possible terms just how important that Romney campaign was, and what a different country we would be already if the result of that election had gone in the other direction. That is coming up at the close of tonight's show. It is a big story. It's coming up.